Greetings everyone, this is Elizabeth with the Fairy Hugs video design team. I hope you're having a wonderful day and I hope you're excited because I know I am. I have a fabulous idea, crossing my fingers it works. We're gonna do a card that has the extended layers, and when it closes it just all kind of folds over, and taking in consideration that once it folds over it adds about an inch to the card, so I decided to start off with a 5x5 card base. Okay, we're gonna go square so that when it lays over it'll still fit into a 5x7 card. Now my top panel, between the paper itself and my cutting and the measurements and everything, it wasn't exactly 5x5, so I eyeballed the trimming down on this one just so I had a little bit of a space all the way around, and then I marked it so that I could match up my little plus signs and know that it goes this way and it will fit perfectly. So we have our 5x5 card base, just a hair shy of 5x5 on the working panel. Okay, and then I've got two pieces that are 1 inch wide and 5.5 inches long. At each end we're going to score it at 1/4 inch so that we have just this cute little 1/4 bend, 1/4 inch. Okay, but all together it is only 5.5 inches. So there's one of those, and here is two of those. Again, 5.5 inches long, 1 inch wide, and 1/4 inch bend on each end. And those are our two center pieces. Now to hold those together we need one that has a little gluing area. So this piece is 1 inch wide, okay, by 8.5 inches long. Now you're going to score at 1 3/4 and again at 3/4. Okay, and then you'll flip it around and you're going to score it again at 3/4 and 1 3/4. Sorry, it keeps going in and out on the blurriness. So you're going to have one of these, 1 inch by 8.5, and then scored at 1 3/4 and scored again at 3/4. And this will make a cozy little wraparound for our panel. Okay, that 3/4 is going to be on the back side, and then on the 3/4 on the other side it will be on our back side. And then when it's opened, our card will have this cute little well right there. And then our two inner panels are going to sit nice and cozy right in there. Once you have this basic plan down, your sizing and everything, then you can change these strips, you can change the size of your card, and the possibilities, poof, they open up and are super fun. But I think 1 inch strips are going to suit us, and then I'm just going to trim it to make it look more rounded like hills. Not a lot of trimming. Two of them are going to be hill-like and one of them is going to be our rock-like. Now for this we're using quite a bit of stamps, because even though we only have a 5x5 area, we've actually adding layers so we can cram in quite a bit of goodies. So stamping right on the panel, we're going to do our first layer, and that we are using Pumpkin House. Isn't that adorable? Okay, then our second layer, okay, is going to be the Witch's Inn. I think it might be the second layer, or it might be the third. I'm not 100% sure on that. And then we're going to have our third layer, which is going to be, I think we're going to put Mr. Ed the cat in there. And then our front is going to be our rock wall. So we can see all of these layers layered up. Now we're going to need some clear acetate for our witches. Okay, because we're going to use, and it doesn't have to be a very big sheet, because we're going to use like a little bit behind the broom to just hold the witches out throughout the card. And we might use 1, 2, or 3. It depends on what it looks like when we get there. Okay, so we're just going to have those, and they'll be popped up and kind of springy on their little piece of acetate. When you're chopping up your card base and whatnot, you're going to have extra pieces, and those extra pieces are going to be great. We do need the N and Ed cut out so that we can use them individually. These are going to be stamped directly onto their platforms. Okay, so let me get cleaned up here. And this video is going to be a little bit longer just so we can see the whole process. Okay, so I'm going to move my card base out of the way, because inevitably I always get it dirty. And then my card front, I want to make sure I have the top to the top. And this is where that's going to go. And then my rock wall. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. So those two are for you. And we're going to start by inking up our background, because we can't even start putting this together until we have this all inky and good. My pumpkin house, I do want more traditional colors. I want the orange pumpkin and then some fall leaves for the pumpkin. And if I mask this off, I'm going to have these little weird spaces in our background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my background is actually compatible with our pumpkin house. So I'm going to use some oranges and yellows in my background so that when I add more oranges and yellows and browns, they're going to blend really nicely together. And then we also need to decide, because our pumpkin house can't be floating and we'll be able to see the bottom. So we just kind of want to see where our green area is going to go. And I'm just going to do a super light line, not straight, just kind of put in a ground right there. Okay, nothing fancy, just put in some ground. And it's such a light pencil, I'll be able to erase it if I need to. Okay, so we're going to start with a nice rich orange at the top, and I'm just going to ink blend some background and get back to you in just a minute. I'm going to zoom through this section. Just a lovely background. Really happy with how that turned out. And I'm going to stuff it into the corner of my Misty. Okay, any good positioner will do. And we're going to peel this. Ugh, I haven't got a chance to put these little lovelies away yet. And I left kind of a white spot right there, which should work to keep this, the stairs, so I can color them any color I want. How pretty is that? Oh, so fabulous. Okay. So we have the oranges and the yellows going on. Now when I add my watercolor, and this is just a 120-pound accent opaque, nothing spectacular. When I go to watercolor, I'm not going to add a ton of water. So it should take the coloring very nicely. The watercolors I use, they're new to me. I've used them a couple of times, but they are so rich and vibrant that I think it's going to do well. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom through this coloring process. Okay, so enjoy the music and I shall return. Is that part. Let me pull this up for you guys so you can see. And with the leaves, I just added greens and browns and oranges just to give it more fall-like feel, like the leaves are changing, and very sporadic. I mean, it's not perfect, and by all means, you just blob on some color. And then in my grass, I just gave squiggly marks just to give it a little bit more depth and richness. And I think it turned out pretty good. What do you guys think? So we're going to let that piece dry. Set this aside. Okay, we'll let that dry all nice and tidy. And now we're going to stamp these two. And I'm going to stamp, color, and fussy cut those out. So I will see you back here in a little bit. Alright, so we have many of our components ready now. We did cut out Ed after doing a blue wash on top of him. I just think it looks kind of spooky. And then our little witch inn and our pumpkin house. It's gonna be fabulous. I just misplaced one of, oh, there you are. Okay. Oh, I did forget one step. I think we'll go ahead and decorate these parts up too. Almost forgot about our witches. So many moving parts. For these, we're just going to do a green ink blending for our ground. And then just like this card here, we'll take a little bit of watercolor and just give it a little bit more detail. And then a rock formation, and then Ed's little patch of grass here. Okay, let me zoom through this and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, I think we have it now. I think we have all of our pieces. Almost forgot our rock wall. So we can do this a couple of ways. We can attach this piece and then attach these. But I think I'm going to attach these first. And I'm just going to add a little bit of score tape to everything, because I kind of don't want to wait for glue to dry. So all I'm going to do is add score tape to these 4 ends, and I'll be right back. I also added score tape to our very front piece on the very 2 far ends, the parts that go behind. That way there, it's just kind of ready for me and I don't have to fiddle with it. Now, this piece right here, okay, that's what we're going to attach our little doodads to. Now, you're going to want, I've got my tape sticking out, hold on, let's roll that back on itself. I'm going to put this first tab, I'm going to make sure the straight cut bottoms are together, and I'm going to put this first tab right up to the seam, not beyond the seam, the little fold piece. Okay, we don't want to go past that. We can even go a little behind it. Okay, so that's our first one. And we're going to do the same on this side. So the piece with the tape, that's the crease line we're looking for. And I'm just going to put this right under the fold line, like so. Okay, so then we have this little bowed area. It's looking fabulous. And if we lay that down, okay, now we're going to take our next one, okay, and we're going to make sure that tape isn't sticking out so it doesn't get us into trouble. And we're going to make sure, again, that the cut edge is up with the other cut edges and the flat edge is down with the other flat ends. And we're going to put it in the middle, okay? So this little bend is going to go anywhere in here that we want. And I'm going to just stick her somewhere in there. Okay. Like so. And then we're going to add this other piece right across. Okay, can we see that? Right across. Just like so. And then we can smoosh it down. Okay. And we make sure it stands up pretty good. Looking fabulous. So that's what our little parts are going to sit on, is these little areas. And see how I've cut this end, I left high and then cut shallow here, and this end I left high and cut shallow there. So we have hills and valleys going on. Now we can take the tape off of these, but I'm just going to do one side at a time so I don't accidentally mess up and stick this where I don't want it. Okay, so we're going to peel the tape off. Now we're going to get our back panel. Okay, now the back panel is going to sit right in this groove on our front panel. The front panel, it's going to set right into that groove. And so the best way to do that for me, I mean, you're going to find the way to do it for you, is I'm going to put my card panel upside down, and then I'm going to put the front panel right into that crease, and then I'm going to pinch the back together. Okay, so it goes like that. And we can see that little guy. See how it sits back and there's a groove in there for us to be able to bend it over for when we put it in our card. So now we can take the stickies off of this end. Go ahead and let that fall in there. Okay, And we didn't put our stickies in the groove. We don't want anything in that groove on our score mark when we scored it. And it's actually pretty wide. So we just want to make sure nothing goes into that groove except our back piece. And again, I'm going to set the back piece in there. And what we want to do is we want to make sure the bottoms all line up. So this isn't going to work, okay? And this isn't going to work. We want to make sure that it's nice and even. And then we're just going to fold that over. But for me, I need to do it this way so that I can see that my ends are lined up. Just like so. Because we don't want anything sticking out extra from the bottom. Okay, and so now when we set it down, we have our 3 extended layers and our back layer. So when I lay it down like this for you guys, that's all you see until you tip, and then there's our other layers. Isn't that clever? And some companies do have dies that will make this a lot easier, but I don't have those. I have no engineering degree or anything like that. We're just doing this. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. My kids decided it was a good time to vacuum. And I kind of forgot where I was. While they were vacuuming, I did stamp and cut the little witches out. They're the Witchy Dwellers. Now what I did is I stamped them, and then I just took what ink was left on my brush and made a little circle around them so they weren't stark white. So they've got the yellow and orangey colors with them. Okay, so that's that. And apparently while I was doing that, oh, there's my house, or the inn, the witch's inn. And this one, I think we're going to put right in there. I'm going to stand it up just a little so we don't lose too much. And yeah, we're just going to add a little strip of either tape or glue. And your good liquid glues are just fine for this project, but I don't want to sit and hold it. So I'm going to tape mine down. And don't panic. This will be just fine. I'm using the 120-pound accent opaque for my extra bits here. So they'll support themselves just fine. You can even use thinner paper. Maybe double it up if you're a little worried about it bending and whatnot. So there's that one. See how much dimension we get with that. Okay, so there's that one. And now we can decide where to put the cat, Mr. Ed. And we're going to set him here. And then we can put a little witch, like she's flying away from him. Like she's playing with the cat. Maybe they know each other. Yep, that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to get some tape on the bottom portion of Ed. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover his tail, that little opening and everything, okay? And what I'm going to do is when I peel the paper back, okay, peel this paper, and then what I'm going to do is just poke a hole with my X-Acto knife, just like so, and then roll back the rest of the tape. Just like so. And nobody will be any wiser that we've glued his whole bum down. And we're just going to stick him right here. Just like so, like he's sitting in the grass. Look at how cute that is. Oh my goodness. Okay, now this is where your acetate comes in handy. And you want a little bit stronger piece of plastic, something that's going to support your little witch. And I have lost mine because, you know, it's clear. It's super duper clear. Okay, there it is. Whew. Okay, now what we're going to do is we don't need a ton. Because, see, they're so tiny. They're so tiny. But we do want to strip. So I'm just going to get my cutter here. And that side is warped. So let me cut off this other side. And all we're going to do is cut some pieces. Okay. They don't have to be long. I'm trimming. There's a little strip there. There's a little strip there. There's a little strip there. I don't know how many I need, so let me cut just a couple more. Maybe that one's a little too fat, so we'll get a little bit thinner. And I'm just eyeballing. Just cut some eyeballings. Okay. So we got our little strips. Okay. Now, we're going to find that one witch. Because I had 5. There we go. And we're going to attach the witch to our little piece of acetate. And that's all I'm going to do, is I'm going to take this acetate, all these pieces, and attach them to all my witches. So I can kind of get an idea. No, I don't want to do that. Because we don't know which direction. Okay. So if we have our piece behind the cat, and we don't really want it too long. Okay. So we want this piece of acetate kind of going that way. That makes more sense. And for this, I will get my fine tip glue. And I'm just going to wait a little bit and allow it to dry. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through, decide how they're going to sit on the little piece of acetate, and glue them together. And this is going to take a little bit of time. So I'll zoom through. Okay. And see, that actually stuck pretty quickly. So that one's for the kitty. What do you guys think? Oh my goodness. So we have little witch going to her hotel room. One's leaving the hotel room. One had just checked out or in. One's trying to escape the cat. And then we did Pop Dot that one just to give even more dimension. Look at how clever is this. Now, the acetate that I use is just some packaging. It's super thick. It was a window to something, and I just cut it out and threw it in my scrap box so that I always have that available. I'm going to have to zoom out a little bit so we can stand this little cutie up. Oh my goodness. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you like the stamps, be sure to visit FairyStamper.com. I'll have the links in the description for all of the stamps that I used. Aren't they adorable? And also in the description, I will post the measurements that I used for this card. Now, if I did it right, we should be able to fold it and put it in a 5x7 envelope. And all we're going to do is either gently push to the left or gently push it to the right, so everything kind of flattens out. And look at that. How darling is that? So it does flatten pretty good. You'll probably need extra postage so it doesn't go through the machines, non-machinable postage. And I'm seeing that this one is peeling up just a little bit. So we will go ahead and squish that back down. And there we have it. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and we will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.